Hi, I'm Mike. Welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to set idle, dwell, and timing on the Corvette. Okay, here are the tools we're going to use today. I've got an inductive timing light. I've got a 9/16 and a 1/2 inch wrench, a 1/8 inch hex wrench, and we've got a dwell meter and tachometer meter that we'll use to set the dwell. Okay, before we get started, the first thing that's most important to do is to get the temperature up to operating range. I've already had the car idling for about 10 minutes and I just stopped to get everything set up. So at this point the engine's warm and ready to go. Now how do we set this all up? I've got the timing light as well as the dwell meter set up. I'm going to show you the timing light first. In order for the timing light to work, you're going to need to hook it to a battery, which is kind of problematic on a Corvette because the battery's behind the seat. So what I've actually done here is basically set it up to the battery on my spare battery here on the Spitfire. So we've got that hooked up, and then it's an inductive timing light. So the next thing you do is you hook it into the #1 spark plug wire, and that's the way I've got my wires run. That's down below the header here. So I've got that hooked up. So that's the first thing. The next thing you do is also hook up, and you can do these at the same time, hook up the dwell and tachometer. On this setup, we've got the green cable hooked up to the wire side of the coil. It's the positive side of the coil. It's basically the wire that goes between the coil and the tachometer. So you set the green up on that side, and then you find a nice ground point. Again, a problem with a Corvette because it's mostly fiberglass, but in any case, I was able to find a nice ground point on the steering box. So I just hooked it to one of the connection points on the steering box. So that's all set up. So that's all we got to do from a gauging standpoint, and then all I do now is turn the car on and start taking some readings. Okay, it's showing about 12 degrees before top dead center right now. So I've got to make an adjustment about 4 degrees. It's got to be on the second tooth from the end to be at 8 degrees before top dead center. To adjust the timing, you would take a 9/16 inch wrench and loosen the clamp that holds down the distributor. That clamp is underneath the distributor on the passenger side. It's this orange thing here. And basically loosen it up, and you make adjustments by turning the distributor either clockwise or counterclockwise until you get to the timing that you want, and then basically bolt the clamp back down, and it's as simple as that. Okay, now it's at right about where it's supposed to be, right at 8 degrees. Second tooth in from the end. Okay, we've got the tachometer set on the dwell tachometer meter, and we can see here at the RPM setting we're at about 750 RPM, and spec is 800 at idle. So we got to increase the idle speed slightly, and we'll do that with using a 1/2 inch wrench onto the solenoid nut here. So I'm going to turn this basically down in order to increase the nut coming out of the solenoid, and I'm just going to keep on turning it counterclockwise until I get the right RPM range. So 7.5, just keep turning it. Okay, I've got it set at 800, so that's where we want to start. Next, what we're going to do is take the timing light and just check the timing on the front of the car here. And it is at 8 degrees, so 8 degrees before top dead center. So that's good, no adjustment needed there. Okay, now to check the dwell. What I need to do is switch the meter over to the dwell setting, and then I look at what the dwell reading is, and right now it shows it's on the second tick over from 30, so it's at 32 degrees dwell. So this is not right. It needs to be 30 degrees plus or minus 1. So I've got to make some adjustments to the dwell setting. Okay, to set the dwell, you lift the window on the distributor and insert a 1/8 inch hex wrench into the points, and the adjustment screw on the points, and then turn the car back on and then make the adjustment either counterclockwise or clockwise to make the dwell move to the side you want it to do. So I'm going to turn the car back on and make this adjustment. So I've moved the dwell meter to the other side of the car. It'll be easier to see the dwell while I'm making the adjustments. Okay, I got the meter set to dwell. And I'm hitting 30 degrees. So everything is where it should be. I'm going to check the idle again. Switch it over to RPM. And the idle. Yeah, about a little bit higher than 800, but it's about right. So I'm not going to mess with it. So I think I've got the settings all down now. I've got the timing, got the dwell, and got the idle. So we're good. Well, the car sounds a lot better. Well, the car sounds a lot better. It's running better. You know, sometimes you get close by ear, but having the right tools is really a good thing. And I want to thank my neighbor Bernie for giving me his old, and old isn't bad, old works, his old dwell meter and timing light. So thank you very much, Bernie. You get the next ride.